UltraPro Generation 3 versus Generation 2 base unit. Generation 3 Design Considerations. The Viking Quest system was released more than 15 years ago. It is a very successful product that is reaching its end of life. Realizing this, we have been promoting the UltraPro S100 system as a replacement for Quest. We received comments mainly about the control panel on the base unit. It is intimidating with many buttons. In fact, the Generation 2 base unit has a total of 49 buttons, keys, knobs, etc. That is too many controls. The buttons are labeled poorly. As example, we have two sets of arrow keys that look the same and are placed right next to each other. The most commonly used controls are for stimulation and recording. They are placed on the left edge of the panel. This is somewhat inconvenient for many users. The system does not have a modern look. There are too many black buttons clustered in a very small area. We have received similar feedback from customers who moved from our other legacy systems such as the Synergy PIU or the NeuroMax to the UltraPro system. Using this feedback, we have redesigned the UltraPro base unit, which is called Generation 3. Here is the Generation 3 base unit. It looks very modern and powerful. It has a profile with smooth curves and a slanting top surface, like a powerful and fancy racing car. It has an artistic cover over the speaker instead of a wire mesh. The colors are pleasing and the drawings over the button are easy to see. It looks very different from the Generation 2 base unit. Here is the control panel of Generation 3 base unit. It looks simple, elegant, and easy to use. There are far less keys and knobs. The total number of keys is reduced from 49 on Generation 2 base unit to only 30 on the Generation 3 base unit. The labels are seen very easily and they are more intuitive. There is more space between the buttons. The control panel does not look cluttered. The buttons and knobs are grouped based on their common functionality and enclosed by the colored border. As example, trace recording, trace marking, trace selection and display, test navigation, and so on. Let us look at the controls that we removed and also added to make the Generation 3 panel more user-friendly. Stimulus intensity reset. This control from Generation 2 base unit is removed. It was used very rarely. The intensity can be reset in software, as example, when moving from one examination to next. Stimulus intensity. The intensity knob is moved to the right edge of the panel. This will be more comfortable for most users. A few users may find it a little inconvenient, but should find many positive benefits from the new control panel. There is no change in function. Single and recurrent stimulation. The controls are moved to the right edge of the panel. There is no change in function. Stimulus duration. The dedicated duration controls are removed. Instead, the default configurations will use the goal function keys to increase and decrease duration. There is no change in function. Stimulation rate. The dedicated stimulation rate control is removed. It was used rarely, perhaps in stimulation single fiber EMG test. If this control is needed, it can be mapped on the function keys. One can also use the controls available in the toolbar. Trace selection. This control is simplified. Square buttons with appropriate labels are used as shown. The left and right arrow keys seen on Generation 2 panel, used for side selection, have been removed. Putting the patient side and trace selection in a single cluster was not intuitive. However, selecting side is an important part of the workflow. Hence, we have provided a dedicated key for this function. Trace display. There is no change in function. The labeling is improved. The trace drawing at the center of the cluster shows the current appearance of the trace. The drawing on the button shows the change in trace appearance upon pushing that button. As example, pushing the down arrow key will make it look taller on the screen as a result of change in gain. Marker, cursor, and trigger. There is no change in function. Function keys, test level. The function keys on Generation 3 base unit are ergonomic. They are larger in surface area, and the entire surface is colored. This makes it easy to see them and press them. Volume control. There is less separation between the keys. Furthermore, they are placed next to the speaker as one would expect. Function keys, patient level workflow. These keys are removed. While some liked a quick access, others were pressing them by mistake. These keys are used less frequently compared to the test level function keys. The functions associated with these keys are displayed at the top of screen. User can access them using mouse. Numeric keypad. This pad is removed. The numbers can be seen in the second row from top on the keyboard. The numbers can also be entered from the numeric keypad on the side of the computer keyboard. We felt it was not necessary to create these keys for the third time within the small surface space. Averager on-off. This is a new key. Averaging is a commonly used function in many procedures, and hence it has a dedicated key on the control panel. Note the ergonomic placement of the averager, stimulation, and intensity controls as a group. These controls are enclosed by the gold rectangular border. All controls used in a test such as sensory nerve conduction are at your fingertips. Erase trace. This is a new button on the control panel. Clearing a trace is a useful function in many procedures. Restart averaging. Clear F waves. Clear EMG buffer in quantitative analysis. Select test folder, select study, or exit test. This is a new key. Selecting a test folder, selecting a study, or exiting the test screen is done several times during a patient study. Hence, we have provided a dedicated key for this function. It is also found on the EDX remote control panel. Next, study examination. This is a new key. Studies provide a fast and efficient method of selecting test procedures. This reduces errors. The next study exam function is used after each procedure and hence deserves its dedicated key on the control panel. Left-right side selection. This is a new key. Selecting side is an integral part of the electrodiagnostic study. Note the ergonomic and intuitive grouping of the three keys: select test, select side, and next study exam functions. These are enclosed by the blue border. The symbols of these workflow-related keys are same as those used on the EDX remote control panel. This shows consistency of icons across our products. The Generation 2 and Generation 3 base units have two speakers. Listening to the EMG sound is critical to the needle EMG examination. The second speaker provides a backup. On Generation 3 control panel, one of the speakers is facing the user. This will give louder sound during the examination. Right panel. In the Generation 3 panel, the stimulator connections are moved towards the back end of the panel. The extra space will be appreciated when using the mouse during test or review. Back panel. The various connections on the back panel can be seen easily and reached easily on the Generation 3 base unit. Left panel. Note the power on-off switch on the left panel. Many users had requested this switch rather than unplugging the device from the wall outlet. In summary, the Generation 3 base unit provides the simplicity. The number of keys is reduced by 19 without losing any significant functionality. Designed ergonomically, it provides better labels, user-facing speaker for better sound, more space for mouse pad and its use, convenience of stimulator controls on the right side of the panel, power on-off switch. All of these changes will make the Generation 3 base unit more user-friendly. Finally, the base unit has a modern look. The stylish profile like an aerodynamic racing car. Soft colors. It is not intimidating, rather inviting to use the system. To summarize, the Generation 3 base supports many peripheral devices such as reflex hammer, LED goggles, or a magnetic stimulator. The electrical and visual stimulators are integrated in the base unit. The UltraPro S100 runs the Elite software, powered by Synergy and Viking. The workflow is managed by an intuitive and simple control panel. UltraPro S100 using Generation 3 base unit is the right choice for a beginner and advanced user. UltraPro S100 using Generation 3 base unit is the right choice for an UltraPro and our legacy system users.